Sarah didn't know anyone was watching her. She thought the street was empty, the alley silent, the world too busy to notice a woman hugging her backpack like a life raft. It was past midnight. The drizzle made the pavement shine like broken glass. A street lamp flickered behind her, casting her shadow long and thin, like it was trying to pull her back into the darkness she was running from. Her hands trembled as she unlocked the rusty service door behind the cafe she worked at. Her breath was uneven, her eyes red. She whispered to herself, "Just one more day, Sarah. Just survive one more day." What she didn't know was that a black SUV had slowed down across the street, and that the man inside, a man worth more money than she could even imagine, leaned forward, watching her with a question tightening his jaw. Why does she look like she's breaking? He'd seen thousands of people in his life, but something about Sarah made him unable to look away. Maybe it was her expression, that quiet kind of pain people hide because they're too tired to explain it. Maybe it was the way she forced a smile at the locked door, whispering, "Please don't jam tonight, not tonight." Or maybe it was the way she looked like she had absolutely nobody. And for a man like Adrian Holt, billionaire CEO, real estate mogul, and emotional ghost, that expression was haunting. He wasn't supposed to stop. He wasn't supposed to care. But he did. And that one small moment, that tiny second where he chose to linger instead of drive away, was the decision that would change both of their lives. Forever. The door finally opened. But instead of relief, Sarah stumbled forward and collapsed onto her knees. Not from exhaustion, from fear. A bruise, dark and fresh, peeked out from under her sleeve as she steadied herself. Adrian saw it. His chest tightened. Sarah covered the bruise quickly, glancing around as if terrified someone was following her. Then she rushed inside and shut the door. Adrian exhaled like someone had punched him. Not because he knew her. Not because he wanted something from her. But because that one glimpse, that bruise, those tears she tried to hide, awakened something in him he thought he buried years ago. The urge to protect. The instinct to step in. The memory of someone he once failed. He gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. "Who hurt her?" he muttered. And for the first time in a long time, Adrian Holt cared. Before we go deeper, if you believe no one deserves to suffer in silence, if you believe every broken soul deserves a second chance, please like, share, and subscribe to Kidi Ness Story SOB, where stories like this remind us that kindness still exists. Now let's continue. Sarah Hale, 27, quiet, resilient, invisible to most. She worked at the cafe during the day, cleaned office buildings at night, and rented a single room in a boarding house with peeling wallpaper and neighbors who argued until dawn. Not because she was weak, but because life had tested her in ways most people would never understand. Her mother died when she was 16. Her father, well, he disappeared long before that. Into alcohol, into violence, into the kinds of memories she still tried to outrun. She had no siblings, no savings, no safety net. Her ex-boyfriend, Evan, was the last mistake she let into her heart. A mistake that cost her 2 hospital visits, 3 police reports never filed, and 1 restraining order she was too scared to enforce. She'd left him months ago, but the bruise on her arm made it very clear he hadn't left her. Not really. And every time she walked home, she prayed he wasn't waiting. She prayed she wouldn't see those familiar headlights. She prayed the whispers behind her were just strangers. But prayer rarely stopped men like Evan. Still, Sarah kept going, because giving up wasn't an option, because no one was coming to save her. Or so she thought. 2 nights later, Adrian saw her again. He told himself he was simply passing by. Coincidence? Nothing more. But his driver knew better. When Sarah stepped out of the cafe with trash bags, Adrian noticed she winced while lifting them. Her hand shook from the weight. He opened his window halfway, and again he saw another bruise. Higher this time, near her collarbone. His jaw tightened. Something inside him snapped the moment he realized these weren't accidents. They were patterns. Back at his office, He tried to focus on quarterly reports, investor meetings, multi-million-dollar contracts. But all he could see was Sarah's tired eyes. So he did something he never did. He asked his head of security to quietly watch the cafe street cameras, not to invade her privacy, but to see if someone dangerous was following her. That's when he saw the betrayal, not hers, but the world's. The footage showed Evan waiting near the alley 4 times in 1 week, leaning against walls, smoking, staring, tracking her schedule like a wolf watching the same door every night. Adrian's stomach twisted. He knew that look. He'd seen it on the man who once hurt someone he loved, and Adrian wasn't going to let history repeat itself. Not again. The breaking point came on a Wednesday night. Sarah left work late, too late. The alley was dark, the kind of dark that swallows sound. She hugged her coat tighter, walking fast, breath sharp and nervous. A shadow stepped forward. "Evan," she froze. "Where have you been?" He hissed, grabbing her wrist. "I've been waiting." Sarah pulled away, voice trembling. "Evan, please, not here. Let me go." But he didn't let go. He shoved her back against the wall. Adrian saw it. He had been driving by again. Not by accident, not anymore. His driver slammed the brakes. Adrian was out of the car before it fully stopped. He sprinted across the street, heart hammering. Adrian's voice cut through the alley like a blade. "Let her go." Even turned, scoffing. "Who the hell are you?" Sarah's eyes widened in horror. "Please don't." Adrian stood firm, calm. Deadly calm. "The man who's calling the police in 5 seconds if you don't take your hands off her." Even laughed. A cold, arrogant sound. "You think she's yours? She's mine. She always comes back." Sarah shook her head, tears spilling. "No, I don't, I'm done." But Even didn't listen. Men like him never did. He stepped toward Adrian. Adrian didn't move. He didn't need to. Because suddenly 3 men in black stepped out of the SUV behind him. His security team. Even froze as they surrounded him. For the first time, he looked scared. Sarah's knees gave out. She slid down the wall, sobbing silently. Not because she was weak, but because someone finally stepped between her and the darkness. Someone chose her, protected her, saw her. Adrian knelt beside her slowly, hands open, voice soft. "It's okay. You're safe now. I promise." She didn't ask who he was. She didn't ask why he helped. She just cried. And Adrian let her. Because he knew what it meant to break quietly. To bleed where no one sees. To survive alone for too long. Adrian ensured Evan was arrested for violating the restraining order. He made sure Sarah wasn't alone that night. He drove her to a safer place, a hotel room far from her neighborhood, but only after asking gently, "Do you want a friend with you, or do you want space? I'll follow your lead." And for the first time ever, Sarah chose help. Over the next days, he found her a lawyer, arranged counseling sessions, not forced, just offered, helped her move out of her dangerous building. He never touched her bruises. He never asked for gratitude. He just made sure she finally had room to breathe. Sarah, used to doing everything alone, struggled with the idea of kindness. "Why are you helping me?" she whispered once. Adrian exhaled, a long, heavy sound. "Because someone once needed me and I wasn't there. I won't fail again." She didn't know what that meant. Not yet. But she understood the sincerity. Day by day, Sarah healed. She laughed again, softly, like she was remembering how. She stood straighter. Her eyes grew brighter. The darkness didn't disappear overnight, but it loosened its grip. Adrian visited the cafe one morning, quietly sitting in her section. He didn't try to impress her. He didn't reveal who he was. But the staff whispered, "That's Adrian Holt. Holt Industries. Isn't he on the billionaire list?" Sarah nearly spilled a drink. When he saw her panic, he raised his hands. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to feel small," he explained softly. "I wanted to earn your trust, not buy it." Her chest tightened. That was the day she realized he hadn't been watching her like a billionaire. He'd been watching her like a human being. And slowly, carefully, they formed a friendship. A real one. Sarah started drawing again, something she gave up years ago. Adrian found her sketches in a worn notebook and said, "You're incredible." "Why did you stop?" She shrugged. "Life got heavy. Then let me help carry some of it," he whispered. She looked up, and for the first time since her mother died, she didn't feel alone. Sarah learned something powerful. Sometimes the person who saves you isn't the one you expect. Sometimes kindness appears in the darkest moments. And sometimes the world watches you break, just so it can witness you rise. Adrian, with all his wealth and power, realized something too: you can own skyscrapers, companies, entire cities, and still feel empty. But helping one broken soul heal, that fills the places money never reaches. Their story wasn't a love story. Not yet. It was something deeper: two lonely people finally finding someone who saw them. Someone who didn't walk away. Someone who stayed. If Sarah's journey touched your heart, if you believe kindness can change lives, if you believe no one should fight their battles alone, please like, comment, and subscribe to K&Des Story Hubi, and share your own story of hope, survival, or compassion below. Your story might be the light someone else desperately needs.